Two Week 10 games produced the same reaction from fans: anger, disbelief, and the old shortcut everyone yells when the refs make a big, controversial call: the NFL is rigged. The two matchups generating the most heat were Miami versus Buffalo and Tampa Bay versus New England, and both featured late flags that dramatically altered drives and momentum. Start with Miami and Buffalo. Viewers zeroed in on a taunting, unsportsmanlike sequence that came at a critical moment while the Dolphins and Bills were trading punches. Social feeds exploded with accusations that the refs invented a taunting call out of thin air, and the outrage peaked when Buffalo answered with points shortly after. The clip looped everywhere. Fans saw a small gesture, the flag, and then a swing in momentum. That combination is the exact fuel conspiracy theories feed on. Over in Tampa, a Buccaneers drive died when officials threw a massive offensive pass interference flag near midfield. It erased a big play and flipped field position, helping the Patriots hold the fourth quarter edge. People on social platforms pointed to selective enforcement, call it every time, and the narrative quickly went from bad call to rigged. The most viral moments in both games followed the same arc. Controversial flag plus pivotal timing plus social media amplification equals conspiracy. Let's be blunt about what's actually happening. The NFL's rulebook has grown hairier in recent seasons. More safety rules, expanded taunting language, more nuanced definitions of pass interference, and replay protocols that can alter the flow of games. That creates gray areas. Human crews, imperfect humans, must interpret those grays in real time. When a judgment call comes at the end of a drive or right before halftime, the impact feels enormous. Combine that with an enormous betting market and social media that instantly packages outrage into clips, and you've got the perfect environment for rigged narratives to spread. That still doesn't mean the league is fixing games. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. So far, there's no public evidence that officials are colluding to steer outcomes. What we do have is a fragile officiating system under heavy public scrutiny, plus a history of inconsistent enforcement that fans can point to when a call looks wrong. The logical conclusion, absent proof of malfeasance, is that the system is broken in ways that invite suspicion, not that the NFL is rigging outcomes on purpose. So what would actually reduce the outrage? A few concrete defensible fixes. Faster transparency. When a game-changing penalty is called, the league or the regulating referee should release an immediate, short explanation. Not a page-long legal memo, but a 30 to 60-second video or a clear pool report explaining the call's basis. That won't stop all complaints, but it removes the vacuum that speculation fills. Narrow replay for game-altering penalties. Allow an expedited, limited review for penalties that materially change end-of-half score or late-game field position. This reduces the stakes of a single human judgment by giving crews a second, quick look on the plays that actually decide outcomes. Clearer visual standards and training. Replace fuzzy language with measurable triggers. For example, define what sustained contact looks like on pass interference or what using body weight means on roughing. Train crews against those visuals systematically, so enforcement looks more uniform from week to week. Publish officiating audits. The league should periodically publish independent audits of crews' performance, not to shame individual refs, but to show systemic trends and corrective steps. Transparency about officiating accuracy and corrective action would dampen conspiracy talk faster than denials. Let's also be real about fan behavior. Social media amplifies outrage in a way the old water cooler never did. A single slow-motion clip or a hot take influencer can create a viral narrative in minutes. That's not the league's fault alone. It's a cultural dynamic. But the NFL can mitigate the damage by refusing the vacuum that breeds rumor. Explain, show the standards, and be consistent. There's a final practicality, too. Coaches must coach to the new standards. If the league insists certain gestures or subtle contacts will draw flags, teams must adapt. That means less, "that's how we always played," rhetoric, and more film room discipline, teaching players what will get called today. Some longtime players will hate it, and they'll be loud. But the quicker coaching staff stop treating officiating as random fate and treat it as a parameter to game plan around, the fewer headlines will follow. Week 10 didn't prove collusion, it proved fragility. an officiating environment that produces human errors with huge consequences, amplified by betting markets and social platforms. If you want fewer rigged accusations, make the rulebook less subjective, give high-impact calls a second-look pathway, and explain decisions in real time. Those are boring, hard changes, but boring, hard changes are what actually restore trust. What if I told you Sunday's make-or-break drama didn't end on the field, but in the group chat? A flag here, a late whistle there, and suddenly half the internet is certain the whole league is playing theater. By the time the dust settled on Week 10, two games had become viral conspiracies: Dolphins versus Bills and Bucs versus Patriots, and fans were yelling the same thing from different timelines. They rigged it. TheSpun.com, it starts small. A sack where the defender gets flagged for taunting. A long drive erased by an offensive pass interference call that looks like two players breathing on each other. On the surface, those moments look like isolated mistakes. In the minds of watching fans, they add together into a pattern. Referees nudging outcomes, the league protecting marquee teams, sportsbooks tilting odds. Social feeds fill with slow-motion loops, overlays, and the kind of righteous fury that makes viewers certain they've seen The Matrix. That's how a handful of whistles morph into a crowd-wide indictment. Yardbarker. Let's be fair to what actually happened on Sunday. In Miami, a sequence of gamesmanship calls and timing quirks, including a taunting flag that many felt was dubious, lit the fuse. People pointed fingers and posted clips that looked, on first blush, like referees manufacturing drama to keep the game within reach for one side. In New England, a huge offensive pass interference penalty erased a Bucs drive, and the clip replayed in feeds as the canonical example of late, inconsistent officiating. Those two flags didn't decide every game, but they moved the scoreboard enough to convince people something systemic was happening. Yardbarker now, add another, noisier ingredient: sports gambling. This is where the story stops being just about a handful of calls and starts sounding like a house built on rumors. The legal betting market has exploded in the last few years, and with it came a culture that constantly measures every whistle against lines and payouts. When money is riding on short swings, props, spreads, player totals, every call becomes not only a competitive moment, but a financial one. That doesn't mean officials are colluding. It means that fans who bet feel losses as personal injuries, and social media hands them a megaphone. The moral panic is real and in part predictable. Bloomberg, so what's real and what's rage? First, officials are fallible, not omnipotent. They work in split seconds with camera angles that sometimes lie and a rule book that is maddeningly specific. The league's guidelines on taunting, OPI, and roughing the passer have become surgical. Certain finishes, certain body weight placements, certain gestures all trigger penalties. Applied strictly, the rules can feel absurd in the flow of a play. Applied loosely, the game looks lawless. The middle ground is thin, and